Hi, my name is Frank, and this is episode 2 of my series of my experience with cancer. Uh, in this episode, I want to talk more about signs and symptoms, things you may notice, things that may change, things you need to pay attention to and quickly see a doctor about, and most importantly, when you see the doctor and you don't feel like you got the information you needed or the depth of discovery required and the signs and symptoms continue to go on, then it's very important that you, if you have to, just keep going from doctor to doctor to doctor until you find one that will listen to you. Before I talk about the signs and symptoms and ways to go about dealing with them, what some of them might mean, I'm out here at my bike trail I like to go to up in Brighton, Michigan, and I thought I'd just share some quick information about the training bike I'm using and the trail itself, where the race will happen May 31st. So before we get into the main content, I just want to share a little bit of news about my training for the race and share some details of the trail. Right now we're in Brighton, Michigan. This is Island Lake Recreation Area. And I'm sitting at the beginning of the trail near the stores, JCPenney. What's really nice about this area is just to my left, there's a solid 20 miles of trails. And I'll show you the map when we get to the area that has the map. But at the same time, we got Panera, we got a Mexican restaurant, we got a bike store, all within a few hundred feet of the entrance of the trail. So it makes a great, convenient area to bike and then refresh, especially on days if I want to do 50 to 100 miles, like 5 or 6 times around. It's good every 15 miles you run over to Panera, hammer down some sugary drink or cookie, and get right back on and finish the loops. For those who like gear and tech, I'll show you what I primarily use for my training bike. This is primarily what I use for my training bike. It's a Norco frame, though it's been heavily modified for my needs. One of the first things I did was swap out the shocks with these nicer Pike shocks from Rock Shocks. Took about 2 pounds off the front, so it's not like flying a helicopter with a 30mm gun on the front. It's a lot less nose heavy. I just upgraded to these race Continental tires, quite a bit lighter. And I upgraded the cranks to GX arms, switched out the pedals for these clipless candy pedals. I left the rear suspension on the same. I didn't really have much use to change that out. It's working fine. I just put a new cassette on. The other one was chewed up. But I like this bike because it's heavy. It's about 32 pounds or so in this configuration, which makes it stable, which makes it good for training. It's not feather light, so I'm getting a good workout. It's also stable, and because it has the full suspension, it's a lot easier on my back and knees, so I'm not constantly banging the shit out of myself, which is really important. I don't need any more health problems. All right, so that's the beginning of the trail there, and over there's the Panera. You can't see it from here, but you got all these stores here. So it's a great place to come and bike if you haven't been here and you live nearby. Just come by. You can hike, you can hunt here. It's a really nice place. Probably the most important upgrade I did to this bike is putting these XT Shimano brakes on. The brakes that come with most of these bikes, especially at the more entry and mid-level. I just got off. You're going to kill yourself. Upgrade them immediately. This is the race I'm going to take part in. Like challenge. As you can see, it's got 3 different categories. Elite, expert, we will not be doing that. Sport is 3 laps around or 18 miles, and I'll be doing the beginner category. I have no problem doing these longer distances. In fact, I'm probably better at the longer distances, just I'm not anywhere near in shape or fast enough to make it worthwhile. The beginner category is the only one I have any chance of making podium, which I highly doubt I'll do this time. I'm not in very good shape. There's someone right now. All right, I'm suited up. I'm gonna get on the trail, and we'll take a couple stops, and I'll show you how. What's also nice about this trail is it goes through very different geography. We got forests, we got swamps, we got water, we got grasslands, we got some heavy sand, some mild descents, and some mild uphills, but it's very well groomed and very fast trail. Very good for beginners or medium beginners, or if you just want to come out and do something real fast. So we're about 25 minutes into the ride, about 4.1 miles, and just wanted to show you the terrain. I just took a spill back there, and I fell off hard enough to activate my Garmin emergency contact. I took a small break, ran into another biker, we had a conversation. But yeah, I took a little spill in a very easy ride, so that tells me I'm really out of shape. It looks like all that happened to me was just this little scrape here. But it definitely was hard enough to set off my alarm. And I was just about ready to call my emergency contacts, but we're fine. We really don't get a nice steady warm-up anymore. It goes from 40 degrees with occasional small snows and ice. It jumps up, sometimes within a week or two, up in the 80s and humid. We got some weather and storms coming in. So it makes training a little bit more difficult. You don't get that nice build-up to the heat. You go from frozen to hot. And especially with someone like me in my situation, it's not efficient, but it's doable. So here we are at about 4 miles into the trail of 15. And this is the real woodsy kind of high areas. And right at the end of a pretty good climb. It's not long, but it's relatively steep, but easily doable. As you see, we don't have much of a canopy at the moment, but we're just now getting the small leaves on. One thing about Michigan, right now it feels like about 81 degrees. In this part near Detroit. Now we're 6 miles into the ride. And this ride, I'm not trying to break any records. Back in December, I had that grand plan that I was going to join 2 gyms. Come on, I gotta get this off. Join 2 gyms. I was going to get up at 4 in the morning every day. I was going to get to the gym, do my routines. So one thing I realized over the last 3 years, I've been totally neglecting my leg strength. I have not been lifting, just been dependent upon the actual pedaling of the bike to strengthen my legs, which I will do, but not like a weight machine. Well, that didn't happen. I think I got up at 4 in the morning, maybe 6 times. And then I had some issues with the new medication I'm on, which I'll talk about medication side effects and stuff like that in later episodes. But right now I'm on a trial of a new medication, relatively new. It's been approved in China to be co-administered with certain chemotherapies. But here, the trial I'm in, we're using it as monotherapy, or the drug by itself. And without going into too much detail, essentially it skyrocketed my blood pressure, and I went from taking 1 blood pressure pill to 6 blood pressure pills, and it's still barely keeping the blood pressure under control, which it got so high that it affected my kidneys, caused some acute damage, and we had to come off the drug. I'm back on it now. I think we've got the blood pressure under control, and we'll see at the next visit as the new urine and blood work. But right now, that's why I wanted to show you this trail. We've just come out of the pine forest area, and now we're at these kind of grasslands, prairies. This gives a great example of how diverse and scenic this trail is. There's a better side of it. So prairie, I mean, this goes on for quite a while. There's a Metro Park, Kensington Metro Park. And over this way you can see it quickly drops off into this marshy area. I'm not sure the proper name of this type of wetlands, marsh. There's definitely a movement of water. Probably empties into the Huron at some point. But yeah, sometimes some of these mountain bike rides can be pretty boring. But this gives some nice scenery to make things a little more interesting. You can probably hear the frogs. It's season of the frogs for sure. And you'll see deer out here. You kind of have to be careful. They'll jump right out in front of you. So you gotta be careful on the descents. But yeah, this is a really nice area. Oh man, it's hot too, and I didn't pack any water with me. I slammed a 30-ounce Starbucks refresher, thinking that I could get through. But since I'm so out of shape, I hope there's a little further on, there's a stop that has a well, and hopefully the drinking fountain's been turned on. This is really gonna suck. In all my videos, the one thing I want to hammer home is ways that you can empower yourself to, I don't want to use the word battle or fight cancer, because ultimately you're at war with yourself. Cancer is you that has gone haywire. And I think thinking about cancer in a way that is an enemy that's actually part of yourself might not be the best way to go about it, as insofar as thinking of yourself as something bad or evil, or you did something to cause this. I think you have to take care of it more as it's part of you, and instead of fighting it, you got to learn to live with it. And initially, when I was diagnosed, I did not realize that it was something to destroy. It was something to destroy as fast as I can and be rid of it. Now that I'm a lot more educated about it, and 4 years into it, I'm not fooling myself anymore. This is probably something I'm going to live with for quite a while, if not indefinitely, for whatever the rest of my life is going to be. So in that respect, the two main things that I've found that will help you through this, and it's just not cancer, any medical condition, heart condition, MS, ALS, there's so many conditions that start out small. And the sign and symptoms can be pretty, the sign and symptoms could be labeled anything. Like a little bit of belly pain, you ate too much, or you ate the wrong thing, just take some antacid, when in reality it's this giant tumor. If the tumors are in the right place, to where they're not interfering with a major bodily function or not near a nerve, it will be a long time before you notice that there's something really wrong. And by that time that it is noticeable, between pain or severe constipation or severe diarrhea or just feeling like shit all the time, it may already be too late. It's quite often has spread too far. And one of the things that your body is good at is adapting to conditions in the body as well as outside the body. Humans are very good at adapting to things around them. And that's a good thing and that's a bad thing. And in this case with cancer, it's a bad thing. So it's really important that when you start to feel something that's changed or is different, to go get it checked out. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I think it was probably a solid 2 years that I felt something was not right in my stomach before I was diagnosed. I felt like I kept feeling like there was a lump, and I would feel it up in the upper stomach, and then I would feel harder and more intense, and I couldn't find anything. And then I forgot about it, went on, and then but it became more frequent. The stomach pain more frequent, and of course at work there's all kinds of trash everywhere. So I just didn't think about it. I just told myself, oh, I got to eat better. I got to stop, lay off the alcohol, which I really hardly didn't drink much anyway. And no, that's exactly what it was. It was cancer. It was the tumor causing constipation, and the lump I was feeling was actually just backed up stool up high, right about where my spleen was. Of course, at the time, I thought nothing of it. I even had a colonoscopy at age 40, which was clear. And right about the time, it was probably about 47, age 47 is when I started noticing symptoms that would become the issue later on. When I was 45, I got a letter from U of M Hospital, University of Michigan, stating that because I had that first colonoscopy when I was 40, I should come in now I'm age 45 for another colonoscopy. What did I do? I threw that letter into the corner, and I kept on working, every day, going on trips, and just going about life, thinking to myself, oh, I'm fine. The first one didn't find anything, and I was wrong, and the clues were there, and I didn't notice them. And the two major things that will get you through cancer is number one is preventing, and there's probably ways to do that depending on what a lot of doctors might say. I don't believe it. I believe that lifestyle, at least some very specific lifestyle situations, causes cancer outright. And then you have your genetic, which we'll talk about in later episodes. Pure genetic cancers, where they're going to come out more likely no matter what you do, whether you smoke crack and meth and drink every day, or you're the healthiest eater on the planet. They're coming. And the signs and symptoms, the genetic cancers can be a little different than the wear and tear cancers. So yeah, number one, do everything you can to prevent cancer. Whatever you think, although, drinking, fast food, all of that, however benign you think it is, in the end, is it worth it? Is it worth getting cancer? What are you really banking? If I could go back in time, I can't think of any reason or anything that I banked by drinking on the weekends or drinking on vacations, sometimes to access. But that's not really what this episode is about. It's signs and symptoms. So number one, something goes wrong, get to the doctor. And if it continues to go wrong and your doctor blows you off, tells you it's growing pains or you need an antacid pill, get to another doctor. Because on the flip side, probably 90% of it, yeah, that's what it is. But to delay finding cancer in the body, it's catastrophic. It's just not a spectrum of severity. It's like you either find it when it's small or you find it when it's really advanced. And once it's really advanced, it's in your lungs, it's in your liver, it's in your brain. And it becomes much, much harder to fight it. And a lot of times impossible. We're getting good drugs out now. Like I said, we'll talk about more drugs and therapies in later episodes. But that's nothing to bank on. Number two, you got to educate yourself. Once you have the cancer, once it's confirmed, I want people to go to the internet, pull up quality sites, quality research sites, go to the library, educate yourself on therapies, on all other types of cancers. You want to know the terminology. You want to be able to go into your appointments with your doctor and be able to converse with your doctor, not to the level as another doctor or something, but you want to be proficient in the terminology so you know what they're saying. You know all the possibilities of other therapies that actually might be a little more specific to your case than what they're offering. And a lot of times they do not give you other options. All right, I'm gonna get back on the bike and we'll stop at the next few miles and I'll show you the next trail features. So now we're about 11 miles and 2 hours and 30 minutes into the 15-mile training session. I like to stop here. As you can see, we start to transition into this sandy small climb, uncharacteristic of most of this trail, which is mainly hard clay and forests of different types. We got a beach and water over there. And then over here we got, it's kind of this woody grasslands. Right here we got the map area. And part here, and follow the blue trail to the yellow trail. I think the race is going to be this yellow trail here. One time around is 6 miles. And of course, as you go up in categories, you just do more loops. I've never done it just by itself. I always come out here and do the full 15 miles, which is the yellow trail and blue trail combined. Yeah, I didn't plan very well. As you can see, my water container holder is not there. Last year I could do 30 miles or twice around without stopping. And I was in good enough shape to where I didn't have to stop and drink or anything. But it's humid and brutal at the moment. It's just as hot now as we get to our average temperatures in June and July, and it's the middle of April 2 weeks ago. It was in the 30s and 40s, and we just jump up into the humid 80s. So I'm not liking it, but I'm getting through it. So I can't be in that bad of shape. But who knows how 6 blood pressure pills affects your performance status. I'm gonna have to look that up. Maybe even make an episode out of it. So here I am at this little lake pond thing. It's always a great place to stop, and it's a great shelter if thunderstorms and lightning come up pretty fast. Take take shelter. There's not really many places to take shelter here. Yeah, I'm in luck they got the drinking fountains turned on. Like, I'm not sure what I would have done. It's only 4 more miles, but I'm super thirsty. I'm going to demonstrate everything I do, everything I say. And this doesn't have to be what you do, of course. What your routine is and what you do to keep active is going to have to be up to you. Your level of fitness and your level of activity. But what I want to hammer home is there's always something you can do regardless of whatever level you're at. And there's going to be times where you don't have a choice. You're going to hit that couch, you're going to hit that bed, and you're not going to wake up for hours on end. But you need to find the time to hold that routine and keep active. I believe with all my heart that it is extremely necessary if you're going to survive your situation. All right, according to the Garmin watch, we're at mile 15.2. It's the last half mile. We're going to head over to Panera and do a quick summary of this ride, and then we'll move on indoors and get to the nitty-gritty, present some research and foundation for why it's so important to get to the doctor as soon as you can when signs and symptoms present themselves. Okay, we're back at the house. I just wanted to share my story really quick. Started, well, let's go back to August 2020. My fiance at the time left. I had quite a bit of issues with that, depression, whatnot. Probably lasted a good 4 months, I would say. I even tried to go to Florida, stay active, stay at work, and things didn't really, nothing really worked to get rid of that depression. It was probably November of that year. I was probably drinking a little bit more than usual. And just one day I noticed a very small amount of streak of blood in the stool. And that's the first time I'd ever seen that in my life. So I made an appointment with my doctor. Yeah, and that led to a CT scan in January of 2021. And the CT scan didn't show anything. The bleeding was still there. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like pouring out of me or anything. It was just small streaks here and there. Sometimes it'd be there, sometimes not. I kind of summed it up to my poor diet at that time and increased drinking. But the drinking wasn't that bad, so it's hard to seem that had anything to do with it. The drinking wasn't overly excessive, but it seemed like it was just enough to irritate something going on in my intestine, my colon. Wasn't sure what it was. But considering how depressed, I remember waking up several times with intense heartburn, and it was so bad. I'd never felt it before. I kind of thought I was having a heart attack at one time. And that went away. And by January, I was like, okay, we gotta change my diet. I probably have an ulcer or just overdid something. And but 2 years before that, I did have an occult blood uh, test, and that actually came back positive. It was probably 2 years before that, but didn't really think much of it. That there was no other signs or symptoms. I think my doctor even put a small scope, looked at a small scope up there, and didn't see a thing. No hemorrhoids, nothing. Which, now that I think and look back, that was a diagnostic factor. Since there was no hemorrhoid involvement, that means something further up was causing it. So I kind of forgot about that, and then the breakup and all that came along. Uh, but I significantly changed my diet after that CT scan, and I didn't hear from my doctor. I think my doctor called me like in June of 2000, like 5 months later, and was not very concerned about anything. Didn't suggest a colonoscopy, even though the CT stated essentially to get a colonoscopy. And since I had changed my diet, I quit drinking completely. I wasn't drinking at all that I can remember. I switched my food from typical crap, pizza, tacos, whatever else. I changed it to a much more Mediterranean diet type choice, and all the symptoms stopped. I was having constipation too, pretty severe, and abdominal pain. Once I stopped drinking, once I switched my diet, everything was normal. Until, I would say, August and September of 2021, the bleeding came back. And it got worse when I had to drink alcohol. It didn't matter if it was beer, wine, a mixed drink. It was always getting worse. And even when I didn't drink, it the blood was there, just not as bad as when I did drink. And I still don't have a good explanation as to why there'd be more bleeding after drinking than not. Maybe it thinned the blood a little bit more. Maybe it just irritated the whole lining. That the tumor was in there at the time. We just didn't know it. Maybe it irritated the tumor, the lining around there. Hard to know. No one's given me a good explanation for that. But for whatever reason, the alcohol was a diagnostic signal that something really needed to be looked at. And I think by September of that year, I called my doctor, and I went and saw him like twice, at least, and called a few more times. And nobody could figure anything out, but nobody was too concerned about it. And I finally suggested at that time, I think I need a colonoscopy, because I remember when I was 40, I had a colonoscopy and everything was good. But I got that letter from U of M who said, come in, you're 45 now, you should have another one. And that's the letter I just kind of threw in the corner and went on about my life. And so I'm 48 now at this time. And so I was 48 at the time. And I remember, I think it was December of 2022 or January, I called again, and I this time I just flat out asked, I need a referral for a colonoscopy. And I remember whoever it was working in the office, it wasn't the doctor, but they said, no, we can't give you a colonoscopy unless you come in and get a yearly annual physical. And at the time, I was kind of ignorant of how insurance worked. I had a PPO, which meant I could just self-referral anyway and go anywhere I wanted to. But at the time, I kind of thought I needed that referral from the doctor, but I didn't. But the office staff told me I needed to come in for an annual physical, and basically I said that's not going to help anything. The colonoscopy is the only thing that's going to and be the gold standard, which it still is, the gold standard for diagnosing and even treating small areas of polyps and cancer. So not only can a colonoscopy see tumors, see disease within the colon, but when it's small, like the polyps, it can remove it at the same time. So you can do quite a lot. It's just not an imaging technique. There's more to it, which is why it's so important to get them as be very regular with them and get them when you age into it, which nowadays I would suggest by the time you hit 40 to get one as soon as you can. If your doctor will give you one, if the insurance company will approve it, do it. Especially if you had a first degree relative with, especially colon cancer or even polyps. It doesn't. Your first degree relative is mother, father, brother, sister. They all, if any of them had a polyp, you should have a colonoscopy at 40. And if there's other colon cancers that start even earlier, I've heard them starting like in early 20s or even before that. Those are the genetic versions. Lynch syndrome is one that comes to mind. If you know you carry those genes, the colonoscopy becomes probably will become part of your life very, very early on. I would say even start at 20 if you can possibly find someone to pay for it and do it. That aside, at that point I went and saw him. I did the physical. As always, it didn't show anything. You're not going to find cancer in an annual physical. But he did write a referral at that point. He did seem concerned. And he sent a referral. And of course, this being 2022, COVID had just completely screwed up the entire medical system. Doctors weren't getting patients in. It was pretty much just a war room in the ER and treating COVID patients, and a lot of your general type practice and tests were not happening or taking very long to get done. And it was 3 weeks after I had that appointment, and I still hadn't heard anything. So I faxed it again to the hospital, and I still didn't hear anything a week later. So now another month has gone by. So like at least a year since I first saw the first symptom. Now we've gone a year. And it's been another month after that from the referral. And I finally called them and said, hey, what's going on? And they tried to schedule it, and they said, oh, we don't take your insurance. And this is the same hospital system I've been going to for probably a decade before that. So it had nothing to do with insurance. I think it was just COVID chaos. And at that point, I kind of gave up. And I called University of Michigan, and they made an appointment immediately with a GI specialist. But it was 6 months before I could get in. So I just wrote it out. And over that 6 months, from January to June, things got worse and worse and worse. I mean, there was a couple times where I would get up in the morning and there was this blood. I mean, my pants were soaked with blood, and it was real obvious something was wrong at that point. And I even called the hospital back, and I said, hey, this is getting really bad. Is there any way I can get in sooner? And it was like, no. And colonoscopies take quite a bit of time to plan out. You need a lot of people. You need anesthesiology. You need the GI doctor. You need a lot of team players. They're just not shoving a camera up there. It takes quite a bit of coordination with a lot of different specialists. So, accelerate to June. I started losing weight before that, and everybody at work was letting me know that I did not look good, and I did not feel good at that point. Uh, I didn't want to eat. I had lost probably 20 pounds in that 3 or 4 month period from January to March, and it was real obvious that this was cancer of some sort. Just where it was is a problem. And it was interesting the CT didn't see anything originally, which probably meant it was like really, really small at that point. And the bleeding was so faint it was hardly even detectable in the stool. But at that time, it probably was just maybe a stage 1, possibly a stage 2. I highly doubt it had gone to my lungs at that point, or liver, or anywhere else. Because the original CT showed no lymph node enlargement, nothing. But, which, I'll explain in later episodes the reason why the CT didn't see anything. Now, MRI might have seen it, but MRI is a little more a whole different type situation. Different type of scan that sees different things. But I went into the procedure room knowing full well they were going to find something. And afterwards, I woke up, like I explained in the last episode, I woke up and the doctor had all these papers in front of him and was trying to explain what he found in there, showing me pictures, and I was just still kind of out of it from the anesthetic. And we went home, set up some appointments, and we got right on it with treatment, and they got me right in there. I think I had my biopsy results back. They were able to do a small biopsy of the tumor, which was only about 7 inches up into the rectum. And I didn't even need a colonoscopy at that point. I could have just got a procedure done, a flex sig, which just looks at the rectum up to the sigmoid colon. And you don't need to be put under. You don't need the huge amount of staff that you do with a colonoscopy. And that's all had to be done. So over that whole year, I could have just gone in to get that procedure and they would have found it. My colon itself was completely clean, nothing in there, and it still is. They've never found anything. No polyps, just that one catastrophic time. That's all it takes is one cell to get out, go haywire. You don't have to have years of polyps on tops of polyps and bleeding and stomach issues to have cancer. It can pop up very quick and very insidious. But all the warning signs were there, and myself and everyone I was going to for help they were not putting two to two together. I think perhaps maybe that first colonoscopy I had at 40 might have given a false sense of security, because it was 8 years later, and more than likely the cancer started probably just after that colonoscopy, because colon and rectal cancers, a lot of them are actually quite slow growing. There's exceptions to that, but typically they're very slow growing. So had I gone in at 45 for my scheduled colonoscopy, they probably would have found it there and might even be able to have taken care of it right then. But that's not what happened, and now we're dealing with tons of tumors in the lungs and multiple lines of chemotherapy. So it's not been fun. There's people that have gone through a lot more than I have, for sure. I mean, when I look at other people, when I'm with my patients who have advanced cancers, I don't feel sick at all. But I have to remind myself that it could go bad very quickly if I don't keep up on the treatments and the doctor's appointments. If you look over the literature, it's quite. I mean, there's no question. The faster you get diagnosed, the faster you can take care of it and the less spread. Just between stage 4 and stage 1, we're talking about a 90% 5-year survival rate with catching cancers early, stage 1. Whereas once it gets to stage 4, and there can be all different stage 4s. There can be, like what I have, lung only stage 4, and I'm kind of suspicious that there might have been some in the liver too. That's gone now. But that's a different discussion. But essentially, once it goes to stage 4, which means it could be everywhere in your body, it could be just one spot, just aggregate statistics says 15% survival over 5 years. And we're just talking about survival. We're not talking about what the treatment does to you. It can be very debilitating, life-altering. And a lot of times, if you do survive it, a lot of people, their life is made up of doctor's appointments and procedures for the rest of their life. So living long is one reason to get in there, and living without complications is even a big, for some people, maybe even a bigger reason to get in as soon as you can to make sure that you don't develop cancer and it spreads systemically. But in the meantime, I'm working on my, I did a short ride yesterday. It was interrupted by some really severe thunderstorm, so I can only do 7 miles. But yeah, the race is coming up May 31st, and I plan on working out and training every single day, maybe take a rest day, but I haven't really done much at all to prepare. And it usually takes a good 6 months to reach your VO2 max as far as cardio is concerned. You got to do it daily. So I got a lot to make up for in just the next month and a half. I'll include some links to articles below as far as the topic of getting in and detecting cancer early. And most importantly, preventing it. Get in, get your colonoscopy. And, a lot of these polyps can be found early and taken out before they become cancerous or precancerous. And it can also set up a more intense schedule for additional colonoscopies, which may not fit the usual every 3 to 5 years once you reach a certain age. It's really, really important. You can really prevent going through like what I've gone through. And what I've gone through is it's been intense at times, but nowhere near as bad as what a lot of people have gone through. I'm lucky. I didn't have to have surgery. Everything works the way it should work, more or less. We're just now concentrating on getting rid of the cancer in my lungs, which probably is not going to be possible. But to be able to contain it for an extended period of time looks to be pretty promising. All right, I will see you next time for episode 3, which episode 3 is going to be probably the most important. Once you've gotten past the stage where you have cancer and you have to do something about it, episode 3 will explain very important things that you need to do to give yourself every chance you can. And it'll probably be the most important episode of the entire series for however long this goes on. I don't know. But I'm going to do it as long as I can and as long as I have material. All right. Good night.